A very, very warm welcome to yet another Kumekucha video. Information and analysis that is very difficult to find anywhere else. I recommend that you subscribe and you hit the bell button so that you receive notifications every time I have a new video. Karibu sana and enjoy. In Kenyan politics, there are usually two different kinds of reasons for somebody to defect, from one political party to another, or from one political orientation to another. The first one is money. In case you're just arriving in Kenya from planet Mars, let me educate you. The chief reason why people go into leadership in Kenya, into elected office or politics, the number one reason by far is to make money. That is the chief driving force by far. Our politicians eat, sleep, think, dream money. What about the electorate? I hear you ask. What electorate? Oh, those ones. You make the appropriate statement, you say the right things, and you pretend and pretend and pretend while you make money, period. And so money is a huge motivation for people to move from one camp to the other, politically, in Kenya. The second, we usually refer to it on this channel as the waving of files. The government has a lot of information on politicians and leading figures, and a lot of it is damaging. And this information is carefully collected, under the guise of national security, but actually it is used as a weapon, a political weapon, to keep people in check, to stop anybody getting any bright ideas that could annoy those in government. Now, to be fair to the government of Kenya, governments all over the world use this tactic. There is no government in the world that can survive for 1 minute without understanding the power of information and how to use it. Now, we have witnessed, in the last few days, or rather, shall I say in the last 2 weeks or so, two very dramatic defections. Perhaps the most dramatic political defections in our country in a very long time. And although the individuals in question did not leave their respective political parties, their defections are much more significant, than if they were to leave the ruling Jubilee party and join ODM. And I kid you not. I will explain. But first, let me finish my train of thought. Now, these two particular defections, that of Moses Kuria, the Khartoum South legislator, and Aden Duale, the Garissa town MP, I believe were as a result of the second reason. I've just given you two reasons why people defect. And in case you've forgotten, I'll just say it was not about money. Now, let me explain why these defections were so significant, by giving you a story. Somebody shot me an email and asked me, Chris, what is the big deal about Kuria? Because I don't understand why people took the trouble, very important people in the country, dark forces we call them on this channel, why people took so much trouble, to have Kuria rescind his resignation. Honorable Kuria is a mayor MP. They should just have allowed him to resign, and then we go for a by-election. We get somebody else more serious, than this joker Bwana Kuria. Well, let me give you the answer I gave them. The message that would have clearly come across to the public had Kuria gone through with his resignation would have been, the MP has left government in protest and also to show solidarity and allegiance to the DP Ruto camp. That resignation would have given the perception that the DP Ruto camp has support right inside the president's backyard. Now, as I've said on this channel before, perception in politics is everything. It's extremely important. And usually, not all the time, usually perception is very different from the real facts on the ground. Perceptions can be the very opposite of the reality on the ground. However, in politics, they have a huge impact. And this is a lesson I was taught early on by my late political lecturer. Why do they have a huge impact? They have a huge impact because in many instances in politics, perceptions are turned into facts. Gradually, although at other times, very quickly. And even more importantly, people vote based on their perception. A quick typical example. If you are vying for MP in a certain constituency and the voters get the impression that you have got wide support, very popular support right across the constituency, then suddenly you'll find the vast majority of voters in that constituency will vote for you. The reality at the time this perception emerges could be that your opponent is well ahead of you. However, as soon as this perception arises, people change. They move with the tide. And individually they decide, this guy's got too much support. Let me just vote for him. Hakuna haja kupoteza kura yangu. Translation, there's no need of me losing my vote and voting for a loser. That scenario has been replayed again and again and again in Kenya. Very many legislators have gotten into parliament exactly in that way. And the losers have not believed their eyes. Many of them have never really understood how they lost, and yet they were so popular. Perception beat them. So bottom line, what would have happened had Bwana Kuria gone ahead with his resignation is that perception would have emerged, and it would have been very deadly, very threatening to the Jubilee support in central Kenya, or rather support of the handshake side as opposed to the DP Ruto side. And so by Moses Kuria choosing the handshake side, this is obviously a very big blow to the DP Ruto camp. Now, Aden Duale, for a long time, has been used by William Samoei Ruto, the deputy president, to project an image for himself as having wide national support. And we are back to that word again, perception. Because you can imagine a voter saying to themselves, huyu mtu ako na support mpaka Northeastern. He must be very popular countrywide. Because Northeastern is one of the farthest, remotest corner of Kenya. Translation, this our man has support even from Northeastern. He must be a very national leader. Now, this should make one thing very clear. The very clear strategy that is emerging from the handshake side to deal with the DP Ruto threat is to alienate him. Not allow him to have any very visible supporters from outside the Rift Valley, from outside his Kalenjin community. And so in retrospect, it is crystal clear that the handshake side within Jubilee would never have allowed Aden Duale and Moses Kuria to do what they want, or any other prominent figure from outside the Rift Valley to do what they want, and to show solidarity with the deputy president. That cannot be allowed. That would be political suicide for the handshake side within the Jubilee party. Now you understand why I said earlier on that these two defections are the most significant in recent memory, because they are very capable of crippling completely the DP Ruto camp. So, what pressure was brought to bear on Honorable Kuria and Honorable Duale? I have already dealt with the Kuria issue in an earlier video where I told you there's an ongoing investigation by the EACC on the Constituency Development Fund the CDF fund for Gatundu South. And the investigation has to do with the awarding of contracts worth hundreds of millions of Kenya shillings, to people perceived to be close to Honorable Moses Kuria. Now with the Duale, it is a well-known fact that the Garissa town legislator has become extremely wealthy within a very short time. Since 2013, it is said that he has gotten huge contracts for the construction of roads, amongst other things, from the government. And while we may not have the facts about exactly what threats or pressure is being put on Duale, we know that a lot of things can happen to a government contractor who refuses to play ball, so to speak. You could fail to be paid. Yeah, that can happen. It has happened many times before. It could happen again. Or they could cook up charges, real or imagined, surrounding how you got those multi-million shilling contracts. Now, the way this game is played, you will not see the legislator's name anywhere near the companies which have gotten the huge contracts. So the right word to use here is associated. Associated to the Garissa town MP. Companies associated to him or closely linked to him have been awarded huge government contracts. Now, there's a theory which has emerged and is fast gaining currency that Uhuru is still very close to DP William Ruto, and that what is happening is that the president is tricking Raila Odinga, and that come 2022, President Uhuru Kenyatta will fully support and back Deputy President William Ruto. There are quite a number of people in the country and even in this channel who believe this conspiracy theory to be true. Obviously, I don't agree. Why don't I agree? Number one, body language never lies. Number two, the actions of the Deputy President and his henchmen and cronies very clearly tells you different. For starters, the DP Ruto camp would never have panicked and started 2022 campaigns so early, had they not identified a threat to the DP Ruto's ambitions. And at this moment in time, the only threat to his ambitions can only come from one place, from within the Jubilee party. Number three, put yourself in the shoes of the president. What are his priorities? He has no interests whatsoever in 2022. And even if he did, he has got other much more urgent immediate problems to deal with before he even starts thinking of 2022. And that is a fact. Top on his list, as we've always said on this channel, is his exit strategy. Every president in Africa, and especially in Kenya, needs an exit strategy when they're leaving power. Others, when they leave power, they'll never be in peace. They could even end up in prison from their political opponents and political enemies. Politics is brutal. And so, an exit strategy is critical. Okay? So the big question here is, do you think it would be in the interest of the president to go against Raila Odinga at the last minute and support DP William Ruto? Would that make any sense? Would that secure his exit strategy? Of course not. In fact, it could do the very opposite. So those who believe in that particular conspiracy theory, and they have all the reason to have their views, it is their democratic right to believe what they believe. However, they should take a second look, and carefully consider the points that are brought up, which are brought up with a lot of respect. I'm not rubbishing their theory. I'm just trying to reason and give you possible reasons why this theory cannot be true, or rather may not be true. But I understand, why there's so much confusion, because many people who analyze politics in Kenya, many people who observe politics in Kenya, do not believe anything until somebody releases an official statement. And therefore, what they're waiting for is an official statement from the president saying, oh, I'm fed up with my deputy president, is going around campaigning for 2022 too early. Yes, we have a problem within Jubilee party. Jubilee party splitting in the middle. Or a statement from DP Ruto saying something to the effect, Deni lazima ilipwe. And before they hear it from the horse's mouth, they will not believe. They prefer to create other theories, conspiracy theories, to explain the fact that no official statements have been released. However, please remember, this is politics. In politics, since the beginning of time, you never show your hand. Never ever. And this did not start yesterday. In the very, very old days, centuries ago, there was a very serious political problem in Israel. And the political problem was caused by some women who started screaming. I guess because David was very handsome. They started screaming, David kills tens of thousands and King Saul kills thousands. Hiyo kitu iliuma King Saul sana. That really irked the king, King Saul. How can people say David kills more people than him? They're implying that David is better than him. And therefore, from that very minute, the Bible tells us, the king started organizing to assassinate David. There was no way Saul would have come out with a statement, King Saul, and said that I'm fed up with David. He's trying to show that he's more powerful than me. Therefore, I'm going to deal with him. There's no way. That would have been political suicide. So David kept on eating at the king's table, and the king pretended very well. He even fooled his own son Jonathan, until the king had to confront his own son and tell him, wake up and smell the coffee. As long as that boy lives, you will never be king of Israel. In politics, you never show your hand. Never ever. This thing reminds me very much of the year 2003, 2004. Mwai Kibaki had swept into power, with a lot of support and help from the LDP at that time, Raila, Odinga and company. And immediately they settled into office, there was a very big issue, a very big problem that came about. The LDP side, that is the Raila Odinga side, were conned. They had a memorandum of understanding before the election that they would be given so many cabinet slots. Those cabinet slots were not delivered. In fact, as soon as Mwai Kibaki was safely inside State House, he behaved as if he didn't need them and he didn't make any MOU. And so the LDP side rebelled. However, Raila continued attending cabinet meetings. Raila continued making joint statements with Kibaki as if nothing had happened or as if nothing was happening. And meanwhile, the foot soldiers were making most of the noise. In fact, all the noise. And in those days, I was already maturing as a political analyst. But still, I felt there was something wrong. And when I mentioned it to my political lecturer, I asked him, why doesn't Raila make a statement? My political lecturer just laughed. He said, that is not politics. This is politics. What you're suggesting is something else, but it is definitely not politics. And that particular incident is very relevant to what is happening now, although it was over 15 years ago. And the circumstances are precisely and exactly the same. Because what DP Ruto supporters are saying on the ground is that there was an MOU, there was a memorandum of understanding. And even if it was not in writing, it was there. And the memorandum of understanding was that Uhuru served for 10 years, and then DP Ruto took over for another 10 years as president. Very fascinating. Some things never change, do they? Until next time, this is Kshs, Kumekucha.